Bryan-College Station, the hidden gem of Texas. If you don't know much about this awesome town, well, you've come to the right place. This is the pros and cons of Bryan-College Station. We're gonna get into everything you need to know about living here, what I personally love about living here, and what I maybe don't like as much. So let's get into it. Okay, pro number one is that there's actually a lot to do here for a town that's not like a huge city, but also not like a small town. There's something also for students and for families. So there's tons of parks all over Bryan-College Station with volleyball, basketball, tennis, pickleball, tons of different courts for everything you would want. There's splash pads and pools. There's Century Square, which is kind of like an outdoor mall with a lot of restaurants, shops, and a movie theater. They do a lot of events. There's also a Pop Stroke now on Century Square, which is a mini putt-putt golf course. They're opening up an REI here really soon, this fall 2024. There's also a million coffee shops to try. I mean, a million coffee shops. So if you're a college student and you love coffee shops, you've come to the right place. And overall, like I said, there's just something for everyone. And I think that's a great thing, especially when you have a lot of students and a lot of locals living here. So now for con number one. Even with all of that I just mentioned, we still don't have things like concerts, a lot of sports events. Unless you're an Aggie fan, then gig 'em. And kind of those big events that draw a lot of people to like bigger cities like Houston or Austin or Dallas. We don't really have that here in College Station. Now for pro number two, Bryan-College Station was actually just ranked recently in an article as the #1 safest and cheapest place to live, not just in Texas, but in the entire country. So housing here is pretty affordable compared to even the rest of Texas. Our median price for buying a home here in Bryan-College Station is right around $300,000 to like $315,000. So much more affordable than your other cities here in Texas. And on top of that, we do have lower crime than you would see in other big cities as well. Now, on that note with housing, I want to remind you that if you do have any questions about Bryan-College Station or are looking to move here, reach out to me anytime. I'm a realtor here. I moved here many years ago from a bigger city here in Texas. And I personally love it here, but I've done that move. I know what it's like. I have a great team of people behind me, and I'd be happy to help. My info is in the description below. Reach out anytime. So that brings me though to con number two, which is that sometimes there's a tension between the student population and the local population. There's right about, as I mentioned, 70,000 students here that come here, 8 months out of the year, sometimes over the summer, to do classes at Texas A&M University. And there's also a large local population, right around 90,000 in Bryan and right around 120,000 in College Station. And because there's such a big student population, there's also a demand for a lot of things that, would bring that student population here. So a lot of the kind of local things like Century Square, all those things are closer to campus. You also have a lot of kind of zoning laws that end up conflicting between students and schools when it comes to how many students can be in a rental property. It's just, sometimes it can become a mess, but that's just something to be aware of if you are moving here as a local or if you are moving here as a student. A lot of times locals feel like the students are really encroaching, and a lot of college students feel like, hey, I'm just trying to get through college. And as someone who has now lived here in Bryan-College Station as both a student and a local, I have kind of felt both sides of that now. I know what it's like to be a student here, and I know what it's like to be a local, and I can definitely see where the two sides kind of start conflicting at times. Pro number three. I think Bryan-College Station is probably one of the best located cities here in Texas. We are right in the middle of the Texas Triangle, which is Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. So you're in great proximity to things like Waco, where there's some tourist attractions there. You're close to all the kind of food and vibrant community in Austin. You're close to a lot of the fun kind of sports events and concerts and things like that are both in Dallas and Houston. And so I really think that puts us at a good advantage, especially if you're a college student and, your parents are in Houston or you have family in Austin. You're in close proximity to those cities. So con number three. If you are going to be moving here and you're looking for a rental property, it can be difficult to find rentals here, especially depending on what time of year you're looking. So if you're a college student, you got your acceptance in like, early January, February, start looking at housing now. Because there is a renting cycle, as I like to call it here in Bryan-College Station, where everything basically gets rented out, including apartment complexes, houses, townhomes, everything, before the start of the fall semester in August. So, and afterwards, it can be really difficult. Like if you're a family moving here mid-fall, it could be really difficult to find a rental property. That's where I would again say, reach out to me. I love to help out renters because I am someone myself. I love to help out renters, and I have many times in the past. But that's just one thing to keep in mind, that renting here can be a little bit tricky. Pro number 4 is actually also a con depending on what you're looking for. It's hot, okay? It's Texas. I don't know what to tell you. It's humid. We've been under heat advisory now for like the last 2 weeks straight, and it's not a big deal to us. And if it's a pro, if you are somewhere in the north and you don't want to shovel snow anymore, you come to the right place. If you don't like the heat and you're trying to get away from the heat, don't think that moving from like Houston to College Station is going to help like I thought it was going to, because it's just as humid and just as hot. The only difference is that it gets a little bit colder during winter than like South Houston. But anyway, and then on top of that, there's not a ton of natural water nearby. There is a lake right north of Bryan called Lake Bryan. And they have some fun camping sites, a little restaurant, a place to cool off. And there are a lot of like splash pads and pools around Bryan-College Station, but yeah, it gets hot. So that's just something to keep in mind. Pro number 5, and this is actually a huge pro for me. I really love this about BCS, is that it has that small town charm, but has all the benefits of a big city. So I can drive like 15 minutes outside of the city and be in the farmland and feel like I'm free. But they also have Sam's and Costco and H-E-B, which is the best and only grocery chain you should be shopping at, okay, if you live in Texas, okay? We still have that great Texas Southern hospitality that you would find in a small town. You can also get across town. You can get from like Northern Bryan to South College Station, and I would say probably 30 minutes, maybe 45 if there's traffic on Highway 6. But besides that, I really love the small town feeling, the small town charm, but the big town benefits. H-E-B is where it's at. Con number 5 kind of goes with what I just said though. Because we are still a small town, but we do have a lot of people here, there's a lot of construction. There's a lot of improving infrastructure from both the city and from Texas A&M, whether on or off campus. And because of that, that does create some traffic. There's been many times where they'll just kind of shut down a road and they'll say it will be open at this time. We're doing this kind of, development on it, and then it'll stay closed for like a year. And there's also especially a lot of traffic on game days right around campus, which is actually like right in the middle of Bryan-College Station, of like the whole area. So that can be tricky. If you are coming in for Texas A&M, you won't mind. But if you are just like a family looking to move here and you don't want anything to do with Kyle Field, then just stay away from Kyle Field during game days. We bring in a lot of extra people on game day weekends, okay? We here at Texas A&M love our football, so get hype or stay out of town. That's not like a threat, but that's just my general advice. Pro number 6 is that we have some really great school districts between Bryan ISD and College Station ISD. I don't have any kids yet, unfortunately, but I've heard lots of great things from the families I live here, from the people I work with, so that's something to definitely consider. Is we have some really awesome public school educators and systems here. Con number 6, on top of it being hot, the weather is pretty gross. If you live in Texas, you know what I mean, but if you don't, let me just, set up a little picture for you. So it's a nice sunny afternoon in, June. It's like 85, 90 degrees. You're strolling along. All of a sudden, boom, thunder, lightning, pouring rain, torrential downpour, maybe some hailstones. Where do they come from? We don't know. But that's Central Texas for you. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're not used to sporadic weather, you'll get it here. Oh, and the allergies are not great. So there's that as well. I don't know really. I haven't found there's a difference between, at least here in Houston, where I'm originally from, but they have oak here, oak trees, and that's all my body needs to know. So, very last pro, number 7, there is a lot of cool local things here that are either kind of famous or just very essentially local to Bryan-College Station. Things like the Northgate District, downtown Bryan, which is really historic and cool. They have the Museum of the American GI and the President George Bush Museum and Library and his gravesite, which is quite a flex in my opinion. We also have a lot of cool things on the Texas A&M campus, such as the Bonfire Memorial, Kyle Field, which is just, I mean, come on. You can't tell me Kyle Field isn't cool, okay? You cannot tell this 4th generation Aggie that Kyle Field isn't the most magnificent thing you've ever seen, okay? We have things like, there's also Stan's Wonderland right down the highway, and also wineries, you know, local restaurants, lots of local like art galleries and farmers markets and just things like that I really have found enjoyable as both a student and a local. Con number 7, and this actually really goes for anywhere in Texas. The property taxes here are atrocious, okay? You might think, yes, I'm moving to a state with no state income taxes. This is gonna be amazing, which that is great. However, property taxes here are just ridiculous. So know about homestead exemptions if you're going to be buying a property to live in. Also, I'd recommend to making sure you stay on top of your taxes, you fight those if necessary, things like that. It's just something to keep in mind and to be proactive about, because I definitely know some people who have not been so proactive about it and have definitely gotten, let's just say, screwed over with the property taxes here. So something to keep in mind, like I said. Thus ends our list of pros and cons. Remember, if you are looking to move to Bryan-College Station, please reach out anytime, email and contact information below. If you want more information about just what's going on here locally, things to do in Bryan-College Station, whether you're a student coming here or a local, check out my Instagram at myagentRebecca. I have a lot of cool things on there. And if you're still hesitant about Bryan-College Station, come on down yourself. I promise you'll fall in love with it and move here just like I did. Thanks and gigum. See y'all next time.